Hey everyone, it's Sun Types, and today I got a really cool video. Actually, it's not the coolest video, but I'll explain the reason for making this video. So let's go here. So Andrew Mahone recently released this video where he talks about GLC. I'll talk about that in a minute, and I'm probably going to talk about it some more on the podcast coming up with Uncommon Fossil. I'm not sure. We haven't decided yet. But it's interesting, and there's some interesting stuff to dive into regarding YouTube and stuff. But yeah, we got this amazing exchange, and I was like, "Yo, this is gonna make a perfect thumbnail." I did actually edit a little, so it would fit better into a thumbnail, but I didn't need to fake it. Let's go. I'm sure you've all seen those Discord messages that are like, um, "I challenge you," and the other person's like, "Sure," or like, "Bring it on," or whatever. And it's like fake Discord messages. So anyway, I thought this would make a perfect thumbnail. That's why I'm creating this video, but that doesn't matter. What matters is obviously GLC that we're going to be talking about. So Andrew Mahone recently made this really cool video about GLC. I'm actually going to mute it. It's good, but you know. But anyway, so it's really interesting. He talks about GLC and stuff. I didn't actually finish it. It was good. You can see that it's animated, which is cool. I'm just skimming through it. I think it like stopped being animated. You got some funny stuff. As I said, I did not finish it. Oh, maybe not. Oh, it's Among Us. Cool. Anyway, so he talks about GLC, which is fine. He's actually essentially made this video before, but this one is animated this time by a YouTuber, Pig Sheffer. I don't know anything about them. They got the little Angry Birds piggy though. So really cool stuff here. They have no talent apparently. I don't know. I haven't really seen their videos, but so a cool video, animated, really cool. The animations don't necessarily fit the style of the video. The animations are super good. I really love them. Let me just, I'll play some really good animations, but then they're kind of like overlaid on top of Pokemon footage, and this is a lot of stuff going on, but we don't need to talk about this right now. Of course, another reason why I'm talking about this is in the past, I made a video about GLC. I made a bunch of videos about GLC, and they get the views, so that's why I make them, but I made a video, the Rise and Fall of GLC format, so this is in some sense a response to that. If you haven't checked it out, it's okay. And there are some issues with this video, notably I so this was my first and my essentially only heavily edited video I've ever made. So it's not the best. You can see I got some images and a lot of still images and um, a lot of basic things, but overall I think it's pretty cool. That being said, I didn't talk about everything perfectly. The editing program I was using started like crashing, so I more or less uploaded it when it wasn't complete. But for the most part, I think it's pretty good. It's kind of weird. It's not I talked about this during the video as well. I talked about it at the end. Welcome to the end of the video. If you haven't seen that part, I actually don't remember what I said. I made this 6 months ago. Um, but what I want to talk about is GLC and the future of GLC. So obviously, and if you haven't seen this video, I said GLC really cool, but there are a few things. One, GLC is not perfect. I think most people know that. There are a few people who are just like GLC is perfect. GLC is cool, but it's not perfect. It's just like I'd actually say it's very similar to standard. I mean, it plays differently. It has different cars and stuff like that. But is more or less morphed into a standard, which honestly for Andrew Mahone for Tricky Jim is such a massive success. Standard's obviously very successful. So it's creating a format that honestly kind of rivals, not exactly, but kind of rivals standard. It's very impressive. But some people are like, yo, it's nothing like standard, and it's actually very similar to standard. In the sense that it's pretty complicated. It's GLC. One of his comments I was looking through the comment section. He said GLC is like the easiest format to get into. It's not, unfortunately, or fortunately, right? It's not themed. Some people, honestly, and this was my mistake, and part of why some of my analysis of it in this video is not quite accurate, is I looked at it kind of like looking for it to be like themed. In themed format, for those of you who don't know, it's you play with theme decks. I'm sure I have some videos on my channel that you could check out, and there are some, and it was the best new player format, and arguably I might make a whole video on themed at some point. But in my opinion, it could be the best format. Maybe not. It's hard to rival standard, as standard is literally how Pokemon designs all their cards. But and you get into GLC, which is a really cool format. But then, of course, for those who don't know, Pokemon DSG Live is a thing. I recently made another video on that. It was actually a podcast episode with Uncommon Fossil. We talked about it. But it's bad. That's the long story short. And it can't play GLC. You can kind of play GLC, but you need to adapt GLC, and that's a route that Andrew Mahone has chosen not to take. Of course, you can play in person, and that's its own thing. I'm primarily an online Pokemon player, and many people are, especially many people who watch my videos. So GLC in person is fine. There's someone was like, "Oh, the cards are kind of hard to get," and that's kind of true. They're not. Most are easy to get, but some are really hard to get. Same thing in standard, you know. But so GLC, really cool format, but then you can't be played on live, which is a massive issue. You could play it on PTCGO, which is actually what you can see on the right here. I wonder if he has any full footage of PTCGO. I mean, this is PTCGO playing in it. You could play PCGO, and that was really good. It allowed you to actually play the format. Most of the cards were very obtainable. There are a few weird issues. There's like a weird tropical beach thing, which I'm not going to get into right now. But long story short, a really cool format, really cool and playable on PTCGO, not playable on PTCG Live, which is a massive hit. And then I want to talk about, unsurprisingly, what I love to talk about, the Pokemon TCG Simulator. The Pokemon TCG Simulator started as I was going to say it started as a passion project. It still is a passion project by Xiao Long. And also, for those of you who don't know, there's a Discord link right here. Some people didn't know where it was. It's here. It's a little like weird, but there's also a tutorial. I think this is the tutorial um, I've shown before. It probably is. It doesn't really matter. But what does matter is that it's really cool, but it doesn't automate actions. It's not on the level of Live or PTCGO, but it's getting close, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't have automated actions. But one thing, and I talked about this in the previous video, I don't remember if it was yesterday. Oh, I can check. This is my channel. It was. Let's find it. It was 2 days ago. There we go. Banger video. Check it out, as all my videos. But no, it's interesting. And I talked with the simulator, and the big issue now is here integrated deck builder editor and personal accounts to save to deck list and user configurations. This is accounts, right? The accounts thing is a big issue, and will allow you to really have this simulator more developed. As right now, it's really cool, but it doesn't do anything drastically new, and it's cool. It's essentially bringing physical Pokemon to online, but with accounts and stuff, which aren't necessarily going to be super in depth. But I don't know the exact plans for them yet. But I think it is going to be a really interesting option. And right now there is a deck builder. It's okay. I messed around with it in the previous video. There are still some issues. For the most part, it's really cool. And so the PCG simulator, I think, can allow you to finally play GLC online, because GLC not being able to play, and you can play it online with the simulator in the state it's in, but it's not going to be the same level of PCG Live or PCGO, and there is no ladder. There was never any ladder, and that's a big issue. I think GLC to finally, not that it hasn't succeeded, but for it to surpass standard, it will need to have that ladder. And yeah, it needs a ladder. That is like, which is obviously a big ask, for. I mean, it's not a big ask for Pokemon. They could do it, but they just don't. So we'll see if GLC gets added to live. I think GLC will be really good. I think it's a cool format. For those of you who don't know, I guess I didn't say it's single prize, monotype, singleton, expanded format. It's cool. It's just a fun format. It's very hard. It's very hard to play. The amount of decisions you make is just more. So I'd say it's objectively harder than standard, because you're just making more decisions in the game, because you have more options to choose from, which I'd say is more decisions. But it's a very complicated format. You can get into it if you're newer, certainly. It's not where I'd recommend you start. Well, actually, I don't know. I would have recommended themed, but RIP themed. So what I'm saying is GLC is not as good as themed at what themed did really well, which was being really accessible to new players, really cheap, and really just fun and casual fun. GLC isn't that, and that was, in some senses, what it felt like at first, and what I was hoping it would be, and not what it was. So, but it is something else. It's like standard. It's parallel to standard, right? It's a different format that is there are different power levels in some senses, but another thing I want to say is some people are like, yeah, this like combats power creep, and it like doesn't really. The idea of power creep is that like newer cards are better than older cards, and if you look at GLC, let me pull up play Limitless, and I can find a GLC tournament somewhere. Let's find a GLC tournament. Come on, there we go. We got ourselves. Let's see. There we go. 13-person tournament. And I'm going to look at the top 4 decks and see how many of the Pokemon are new versus old. In this, I'll just look at this top one. This plays only one fully evolved Pokemon, or one evolution line that plays older cards, which isn't even an attacker, right? So if we look at a lot of these decks, and I just want to talk about this. And also, sorry, this video isn't um, super structured, but yeah. So when I say new, I mean newer than Sun and Moon, which is kind of the era in which I think a lot of people are like, oh, power creep, Sun and Moon, and that's kind of what they think of it as. So yeah, this list plays no Pokemon before that. There are trainers played before them, and trainers have not faced power creep. Trainers are well, like, things change, rulings change, so it's a little hard to order them. But for the most part, trainers have not faced power creep in the same sense. Some people would say the trainers got worse. Trainers have changed a lot in power level over the course of time, but for the most part, over the course of the Black and White through through Scarlet and Violet era, we see supporters from all sorts of eras. Although honestly, more newer supporters, but they print more cards nowadays anyway, so seeing like slightly more makes sense. And it's pretty close, honestly. And then like there are reprints and stuff. But anyway, in terms of Pokemon here, we see one attacker and one evolution that are not new. Of course, we see like Sun and Moon era. And then this is Sword and Shield era. And we don't even see any Scarlet Violet era attackers, but we do see this as an older attacker. And this one's like was really good back in the day. So back in the olden times. But no, and then we have Bronzong, which is again a support Pokemon, but support Pokemon haven't really seen that same level of power creep. And then lastly, was there a top cut? Looks like there wasn't. So this list, this 4th place list, again runs no older Pokemon. Oh no, sorry, it does. It runs Electric. Again, an engine Pokemon, like literally the same thing as Bronzong, pretty much. And then some pre-evolutions, but pre-evolutions. Um, they're not like the main attackers, right? Honestly, I don't know where this 10 was played. I guess it has value. And anyway, we're getting sidetracked here. What I'm saying is that so GLC, some people think GLC combats power creep, which it doesn't. Last thing I want to point out, this is just a weird thing that I was like noticing. So there's a Gym Leader Challenge website, and there's a blog on it. So I actually wrote an article for this blog, but Andrew Mahone says, well, it says written by Andrew Mahone. So if you go to the blog, what did I just click? So if I go to the blog, so I click here. These are all quote written by Andrew Mahone, according to the one sense. But then it always says here written by Shuban, or I don't know how to say this name, written by Skylon, Tankman, Farhan, and then here mine 10 types, and then this other person Morton. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not gonna. I was like kind of trying to pronounce stuff. I've given up. But so yeah, it says it's written by me, and then it also says it's written by me. Oh, there are a lot of ads. Their website, yeah, it went through like a weird change. Like this is glitched, but here it says it's written by me, but then it also says it's written by Andrew Mahone. Like, come on, this isn't amazing either, right? I don't know if I was him, if I want to be taking credit for this, but and I think it was because it used to say it was written by me, and then the website underwent some changes, and quite frankly, like you can see, it doesn't work, right? This is supposed to be, I don't know what this is supposed to be. In my original article, I think this is a deck list, but um I'm not exactly sure. It's supposed to, you can like open it and close it, I think was the idea. Um, Also banger article. This article, I actually don't remember how good it is. I think it's okay. I'm like an okay writer, nothing amazing. Also the headers were changed. No, I don't know. I think they were kind of changed in the title. I did not make this title. I did not have any title ideas, unfortunately. But yeah, this blog, I am officially a part of the GLC history as well. So yeah, that's fun. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about GLC, and I figured this is like a loose discussion, and nothing crazy, but I'm interested in hearing your thoughts in the comments down below. As I said, GLC, really cool. And in my original video, some people thought someone like posted, and I think some like Discord, I don't know, but someone was like, yeah, this video like isn't like, I don't like GLC. That's like not true. I love GLC. Look at my oldest video, it's GLC. Look at my look at my like newest, most popular video, GLC, right? My most popular video, this GLC. Okay. One thing I did, so people are like, yeah, you don't like GLC. This is literally me like hyping up GLC 10 minutes. But anyway, I admittedly did make fun of GLC here, saying that it got stale, right? Um, Although it had some changes, and GLC. One thing, the reason why a format like GLC will get more stale than standard, or okay, so standard could get more stale than GLC and feel more stale because it's getting closer to being quote solved because more people are playing it by like a drastic amount. I don't know exactly the number, but drastically more people are playing standard than GLC. So standard will approach being solved much faster. So that's why that could feel more stale and why to many people it does. On the other hand, a format like expanded or GLC or a format that doesn't rotate, or more accurately, that doesn't change as many cards when the new set comes out will change less. So GLC, when uh, like Obsidian Flames, let's say, came out, it added a few cards, but it did not add a lot of cards. It added just some. But that's that's changing a very small percentage of the cards as opposed to standard, which like when rotation happens or even when rotation doesn't happen, but a new set's added to one of the 12. Well, now you're changing like 10% of the card pool or something, which is a lot of cards. So that's why standard will feel more like the decks will just be not radically different, but potentially like there will be some brand new decks and brand new stuff going on with the new set. Also, GLC, in the way it works, a new set will essentially never be able to introduce a new deck into the format because a deck isn't defined by one card; it's defined by a bunch of cards. And there are two ways to look at GLC decks. If you look at Limitless and I look at GLC decks, there's exactly 11 decks. Ignore Fairy, I'm 10 types, right? There's 10 decks. So yeah, there's these like decks, and these are quote the decks, but you could also look at what's a type with like very defined type. Lightning has some. People might have all played the same like deck, but there are different like ways to play a psychic deck. So you could be like, oh, this psychic deck is like special energy psychic, right, or something like that. People like the names, but then you look at this deck, which is similar. It has some aspects. It has that Necrozma, but it doesn't have that Deoxys. And so this is like, oh, is this a different deck or is it the same deck? Well, I don't know. And honestly, I don't know. I just like clicked in random decks, and then this is actually like a very similar deck. Let me find a deck that's different. Uh, I guess spread, and then this is spread. So this is like very different. So this is almost definitely a different deck, but it does play a substantial amount of overlapping cards, and it is of course the same type. So GLC's decks, when you create a quote new deck, it's not exactly a new deck, and so there's some interesting dynamics in GLC that aren't in standard. When I say GLC, I said GLC was like standard. Um, it's similar, right? Compared to formats like themed and draft and all these other formats that are not as played. Obviously, themed isn't really a thing exactly anymore. But like standard GLC legacy, they follow a very set like structure. And that's fine, but also keep in mind that they aren't going to necessarily be, you're like, okay, I build my deck and I build my 60 cards and then I play it and people are like, and imagine most of you listening are like, yeah, that's how you play Pokemon. But then if you look at a format like themed, it's not that. So, and that's why I think standard and GLC are similar. And not to say that they're bad. I think they're both really good formats. Um, yeah, I'm gonna do a video talking about YouTube and the Pokemon YouTube scene, which is going okay. Well, a long story short of that video is going to be that Andrew Mahone has not grown that much. I mean, okay, no, obviously he has grown a lot, but he hasn't in these past. Does he say his? He probably doesn't say his milestones. I could look on Social Blade, um, but pretty much he hasn't like grown massively. I feel like his most popular videos aren't his newest videos. Well, some of his newer videos are popular. Maybe. Oh yeah, shirtless Andrew Mahone. His most popular video from this past like within a year. Yeah, so no, his newest videos are not his most popular, which is generally like a sign of like, oh, you're not growing a ton. Um, but not that he's doing badly. I mean, I'd love to have 100,000 subscribers. I'm not insulting him. He's doing quite well for himself. And versus a channel like mine, you see my best videos are a mixture, but they're not like my newest videos. You got you have some, and obviously my channel is smaller, so it's more like more susceptible to like big swings and stuff. So I'm talking about the YouTube stuff now. I wasn't planning on getting into it, but some of my most viewed videos, which again obviously aren't anything in comparison to Andrew Mahone's videos, but you know they're newer. And if you look at someone like I think Azul, is his channel growing a lot. Oh, his name's not that recognizable. There we go. Let's see. I think his channel is growing a bunch. So yeah, we see he has a lot of like his most popular videos are his newer videos. And then I've talked about, I think a few times on my channel, the 1 million subscriber milestone, or even the view milestone. There are certain Pokemon videos with over 1 million views, Pokemon TCG gameplay videos as well. When I talk about Pokemon YouTube, I'm talking about Pokemon TCG and actually playing as opposed to collecting. But if we look at this, now this video, I imagine some of you may know Tolarian Community College. I used to watch this channel a little. It's a Magic channel. But 2.1 million views on a Pokemon video, right? So very simple. It's like not necessarily crazy, but interesting that, you know, Pokemon can get that view count, but you need someone, quite frankly, who's a more talented and successful YouTuber. Not that Andrew Mahone can't become that, because he 100% can. I believe that and I believe that he can reach 1 million subscribers. Yeah, if he really works at it. There's some weird stuff going on the channel. He's definitely slowed down. I mean, you know, he's focused on IRL play, and that's fine for him, and that's really good for him. Uh, but then also means that his content has slowed down a little. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling. He still makes good content. Um, and yeah, this video, really interesting. I saw on a shout out page chef, I kind of mentioned them earlier. I don't think they make Pokemon stuff, but if they did, that'd be sick. Um, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing. It was kind of a weird video. I thought I had a good thumbnail, so I made this though. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing. I will be covering actual like GLC content as well. I made, as I said recently, I made a video, and I'm going to be talking more about GLC. I think GLC is a really fun format. And yeah, and the simulator as well. I kind of brushed over that, but I think if the simulator really takes off and becomes something great, then yeah, that'll be cool. Also, I'm running a tournament in the simulator, in a Discord, in the simulator's Discord server right here, so you can do that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, consider subscribing, liking, commenting, all that good stuff. And I'm excited to see you next time.